We all know Zordon as the big blue floating head that leads and guides the Power Rangers in the fight against evil for the first few seasons of the Power Rangers, from Mighty Morphin all the way to in space. He is one of the most memorable and iconic things about the franchise in general. But who exactly was he? Let's find out. Now, the actual origin and backstory is pretty clouded in the show. We are given very little information about his early life other than that he is some sort of mage from Eltar. Although the comic book is essentially set in an alternate universe to the show, I always take these sorts of things as canon, as they don't contradict or change anything within the main timeline. So, I'll give you a brief outline of the origins we are given for Zordon through the comics, before moving solely into the show's timeline. So, over 10,000 years ago, Zordon had a friend named Lady Fienna. She just so happened to marry and get pregnant by a man named Master Vile, giving birth to their daughter, Rita Repulsa. Fienna eventually realized the true nature of the evil Master Vile and left him. Zordon helped protect her and Rita from her evil husband, but eventually he caught up to them. He took Rita and raised her himself. If you'd like to know more on Rita's backstory, I recently covered it on the channel, so you can go back and check that out if you're interested. Later, Zordon went to visit King Lexion on the planet Edenoi. Masked Rider fans will recognise those names. He realised that the planet was losing a war with Master Vile, blaming himself for not being able to protect the universe effectively. The people of Edenoi then built Alpha 1 to help Zordon in the war against evil. Before long, Rita Repulsa sought to conquer many worlds in the universe. Among the opposition was Zordon. War then broke out between Zordon and the factions of Rita. This war stretched for 2,000 years and across countless planets. Many of Zordon's warriors perished in battle with Rita's minions, such as the Nasty Knight. Sometime during the conflict, Rita entered into the service of the Great Lord Zed, who gave her the task of conquering Earth. She and her henchmen occupied a palace on Earth's moon, located directly above the location of the powerful Zeo Crystal. It was also during this period that Zordon discovered the 5 power coins and a map to the Desert of Despair. It was also known that Rita came into possession of a 6th power coin, the Dragon Dagger, and the Dragon Zord, through unknown means. In the closing days of the war, Rita would enact one final act of defiance by using her powers to banish Zordon into a time warp in which he existed outside of normal time. However, before Zordon was gone, he sealed Rita and her minions into a space dumpster where they were to reside for eternity. His only communication from this point onwards with the outside world would be through an energy tube. Zordon knew that Rita could one day return and maybe continue her war on Earth. So in preparation, he constructed a base of operations known as the Command Center in the Californian desert and used it to stage the creation of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It was also around this time that he befriended a young robot created again by King Lexion named Alpha 5. He became a father figure of sorts to Alpha 5 after he left his home planet Edenoi. Anyway, in 1993, Rita's dumpster was rediscovered by a group of astronauts. They released her and she continued with her mission to conquer Earth. In response to this, Zordon, who again was now just a head in a tube, asked Alpha to bring him 5 teenagers with attitude, creating the first official generation of Power Rangers. When Tommy Oliver became the evil Green Ranger with the 6th power coin he received from Rita, he sabotaged the command center and disrupted the link to Zordon. After much turmoil, Alpha re-established the link and Zordon helped the Rangers stop Tommy's evil rampage. Once the evil spell on Tommy was broken, Zordon accepted the new Ranger with open arms, even giving him an enormous amount of his own energy to help him continue as a Ranger after a significant amount of his energy was lost. When those powers eventually ran dry, Zordon made him into the White Ranger. When Lord Zed banished Rita and began his own conquest for Earth, Zordon transformed the Rangers' Dinozords into Thunderzords, showing again exactly how powerful he is. He went on to eventually pass powers onto a few new Rangers, Aisha, Rocky, Adam, and Catherine. Later, when Rita's father, Master Vile, arrived to lecture his daughter on her choice of men, he helped her and Zed with their conquest. He transformed the Rangers back into children, and it was during this time that the alien Rangers from the planet Aquitar looked after the Earth during the Rangers' absence. Zordon continued to act as a mentor for these Rangers during this time. The team would eventually be turned back into adults and gain the powerful Zeo Crystal. However, Goldar and Rito had managed to destroy the command center, but fortunately Zordon and Alpha had moved to an all-new power chamber, a much improved version of the command center. Zordon utilized the power of the Zeo Crystal to give the new powers to the Rangers, making them Zeo Power Rangers. He also welcomed Tanya Sloan to the team as the new Yellow Ranger. With Billy Cranston now acting as a technical aid to the team, Zordon continued to mentor the Rangers, giving them new weapons, Zords, and any advice he could offer them against the monsters of the Machine Empire that threatened the Earth. Zordon was also reunited with one of his former Rangers, the original Red Ranger, Jason Lee Scott, who took temporary control of the Gold Zeo Ranger powers from Trey of Triforia. Again, if you want to know more about the Gold Ranger, we have recently done a video on him too, so check that out if that's of any interest. So one day, the good wizard Lerigot came to Earth to flee from Divatox, who wanted his magical key, capable of passing through safely into another dimension and join forces with Malagor. Lerigot sought the help of Zordon, who summoned the Rangers. He knew that to defeat Divatox and Malagor, the Zeo powers would not be enough, so he and Alpha began to work on the Turbo powers, marking the first time that a sentient being was the source of a Ranger's power instead of an artifact created by one. He then sent Tommy, Tanya, Kat, Adam and the newest Ranger, Justin Stewart, as Rocky had just been injured, to the ocean, where a phantom ship was awaiting them to take them through the Nemesis Triangle. The Nemesis Triangle was essentially a border between two dimensions. Then early on in the Turbo season, Zordon and Alpha 5 discovered that a temporary wormhole had opened up that would take them back to his homeworld, Eltar. He had the wizard Lerigot use his magic to release Zordon from his time warp so that he and Alpha could return to the planet of Eltar and be reunited with Zordon's family, saying farewell to the Power Rangers, leaving them in the capable hands of a lifelong friend, Demetria. Zordon later returned to witness the power transfer ceremony. Not much was known about what happened to the Great Wizard after this, except that he was involved in the war on Eltar, where the Grand Monarch of Evil, Dark Spectre, and his forces invaded the planet, and Zordon was captured by them. Now, this of course takes us on to the events of Power Rangers in space. When the Turbo Rangers journeyed to space to find Zordon, they joined Andros, the Red Space Ranger, and became Space Rangers themselves. Dark Spectre had put Divatox in charge of keeping Zordon from the Power Rangers. The Phantom Ranger was also tracking the wizard. In the end, Andros, on the orders of his former mentor, would be forced to kill Zordon by smashing the column that contained him in order to defeat evil forces once and for all by unleashing a power energy wave that washed across several galaxies. Zordon's energy wave destroyed many of the monsters and villains that were attacking the universe and purified Rita Repulsa, Lord Zed, Divatox, and Astronomer. Zordon's legacy and importance throughout all of the Power Rangers universe cannot be put into words. His impact is unrivaled. Without Zordon, there would likely be no Rangers. I personally wish that they would have explained more about the extent and limits of his powers. We know that he created powers. He created Zords. Well, what else could he do? We know that he was a mage or wizard of some sort, but what exactly does that mean? I guess the extent of his powers is kept intentionally mysterious, similar to the wizards in The Lord of the Rings, for example. Tolkien always kept the magic system kind of mysterious. It makes it a little more real. If you are interested in learning more about Zordon's backstory, Boom Studios have recently been including a little mini-series of sorts at the start of each of their recent issues, covering Zordon's journey to becoming what he is today. It's super interesting and it's great to see him and other characters interact on Eltar. Definitely check it out if that interests you. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this video on Zordon. Let me know in the comments down below who you would like to see covered next. Don't forget, if you want to support our upcoming live action videos, you can check us out on Patreon at The Sixth Ranger. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. May the power protect you, and I will see you next time on The Sixth Ranger.